It's 5 o'clock in the evening and we've had temperatures of 23 degrees, which is so unusual for the middle of October. Now, I am sitting in my garden. If you've been following me for a while, you will know that I am a novice gardener. If you fancy having a good old laugh at my expense, or you want to cheer me on from the sidelines, I'd love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. All you need to do is hit the big red button that says subscribe, and that means that next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your tablet or your laptop, one of my videos will pop up for you to enjoy. I've noticed that my analytics, my viewing times have been improving in recent weeks. And it turns out my husband and daughter have been enjoying, or why should I rather say, have been having a right old laugh at my expense with my YouTube videos. My husband has been telling me that he hopes no one is actually following my gardening advice, because not all of it is rock solid advice. As I say, I'm a novice gardener, and the mistakes I make, I'm just hoping that you don't make them too. So I've got a few updates for you today. One is to look at how my dried hydrangeas are getting on. I think I'm ready to cut another bunch of dahlias to use, and then we'll have a look around the garden and just have a think about what else I need to be doing mid-October. One thing I have been enjoying doing is collecting fruit. Now, if you've been watching for a while, wasn't quite sure what to do with this fruit. We have a really tall pear tree in the garden, and it's so tall that the fruit is out of reach, so I've been letting it fall. I personally don't like pears, but when my husband sees them fall and they look like this, he will eat them. And of course, when I turn it round, it doesn't look very nice at all. And I've been leaving my pears to sort of rot in situ for the wildlife. And I thought as it was autumn and that sense of bringing in the harvest, that I would collect them together on this flower pot saucer and just have them to enjoy as a bit of decaying natural beauty. I particularly like this one here that seems to have dried. Look, it's still got the little leaf on. And I did think, I'm sure my husband was telling me that he'd seen a programme, perhaps a slot on Gardener's World, where it said that if you leave fruit out to rot, it attracts certain species of butterfly. So we'll have to see if I get any more butterflies in the garden. I've certainly seen wasps and other insects buzzing around my flowers. And an update on my hydrangea. I reckon they are well and truly dried. I've had this sitting on my mantelpiece. It's being reflected back into the living room with the mirror behind. And there's just a tiny bit of, perhaps not so much a tiny, but it's just a little bit of water left. So I know that these flowers have dried. I don't want them to rot off now. So I can use them in another flower arrangement, or just keep them on my mantelpiece to enjoy for a few more days, until I decide to do something else with them. I'm in a little bit of a quandary as to whether to make an autumn wreath, but I've also been out collecting conkers, so I can't quite decide whether my next video will be making a hydrangea door wreath or a conker door wreath. Let me know in the comments, should I make a hydrangea door wreath or perhaps one using the horse chestnuts? As you can see, my dahlias are looking rather spectacular in the afternoon sunshine, so I'm going to have to cut myself some of the more open blooms to enjoy indoors. There's still plenty of buds left, so these have been really good croppers, so I'm going to cut long, so I'm delving right down into the base of the plant and adding those to my bucket. So these were a dwarf variety. Next year I might add to my collection of dahlias and get some standard length ones as well, so I can have a little bit of variation of length in my vase. So that's 3 of the red, 1 of the pink, and I think that's just 1 stem, a really long stem with 2 heads on it. So from my lovely dahlias in the bucket, having a drink of water, to other changes in the garden. I've had this old step ladder for a couple of years now. I had the idea that I would use it to put some summer planted baskets on it, like an auricular theatre, and I've never done anything about it. So I have dug the stepladder out, leant it against the pear tree and set on some terracotta pots. I've been having a little bit of a declutter in my workshop, and if you're a member of my free Facebook group Flower Start World, you'll have seen the last couple of Fridays I've been digging through my flower arranging cupboards, deciding what to keep and what to pass on. So I've decided to actually put my terracotta pots to use, and you never know, I might actually plant something in them. And can you see the pears there, way out of reach? And we've got the dead ivy that was killed off or cut off when we had the garden cleared, when we got rid of the chicken houses and the aviary and the tortoise enclosure. So I'm hoping that come next spring, perhaps I might have that ladder softened a little bit by some new ivy growth. You can just see it behind some of the steps on the ladder, just at the back here. And then hopefully my husband's plantings will grow up to disguise our neighbour's fence. So I've been enjoying spotting treasures in the garden. Here I've got a mushroom growing, really well disguised amongst the grit which was on the bottom of the aviary. So the scabious is looking well, and there's some new buds there about to come out. I'm just hoping that this hotter autumn weather lasts and they don't get bitten off by any early frosts. More buds here, and then behind is where I've planted the sedum and the cyclamen at the base of the ladder, which was given to me by the neighbour. And this is the remains of my hydrangea. Thank you so much to Deborah, who left me a comment last week saying she thinks I probably judged it right with my cuttings to cut short and to leave 50% of the heads on in order that they protect the rest of the plant from frost damage over the winter. And then across to the verbena, looking ever so slightly worse for wear. I think probably this needs watering. It's been the end of a very long hot day here, but I have got some new growth coming on with my zinnias, so let's have a look at those. Beautiful pink zinnia there, but you'll notice there's only one. I was trying to do an arrangement using 5 zinnias in the week. I don't know whether you follow along with my blog, but I am doing a Julie and Julia, the flower edit project, where I'm trying to recreate all 86 arrangements in Julia Clement's book, Fun with Flowers, a treatise on the art of flower arrangement. And one of the arrangements she did used 5 zinnias. I've been unable to grow myself 5 zinnias. I've probably had 5 in total, but they're never out at the same time. And then behind, I've just got the beginnings of a new bud down below. And the zinnia that fell over, you can see that it's developed, I don't know, are these called lateral shoots? When they spring up from the horizontal base. And I do know that if you are planting hedging, you're supposed to plant that at 45 degrees, so you get extra spurts of growth up on the side. So hopefully these stems will come into flower before the cold of the winter arrives. And down here, this is the large daisy flower. It's not an oxeye daisy, it's the one that's bigger than that. And I thought these twigs here, the base sections, were well and truly dead. And they've got lots of new growth coming up. So again, hopefully that is not too late in the season for new growth to be put on, and it will actually survive through the winter months. And then this herb style foliage, which my friend gave me at the same time she gave me the daisies and the Japanese anemone. She didn't know what it was, she just said it thought it was some kind of herb, and that does seem to have established itself really well. And the greens are looking really spectacular. I will say they look even better individually and in a single vase against a plain wall. When you see them en masse, you don't really appreciate their individual beauty. And then down below I have got my oriental lilies, which were given to me as a gift of a pot plant. So they are doing their photosynthesis thing, and when the foliage dries back I will be cutting those down. And then here we have the hydrangeas, which will go back indoors, and then my plate of rotting fruit, which I rather like, the beauty of the different stages of decay. I think the time has come to deadhead those tiny roses. Can you see them at the base of the pergola? And a beautiful bumblebee basking in the evening sunshine. I think he's asleep, or is he dead? And there are the remnants of my net roses in need of a little bit of deadheading, but I do seem to have a new rose there. Oh, he's not dead. He's itching his bottom. And then another new rose just down there. They're tiny, these roses, really insignificant. So they do make a nice cut flower if you've got a bud vase. I'm going to make a really simple arrangement using this cream jug, which I got from the charity shop for about £2.50. I would turn it over and show you the maker's mark. I think it says something like, oops, Elms Pottery. It definitely says Burslem after that. And if you're interested in pottery, do check out the description underneath the video, because there is a link to my trip to Burley, the Burslem pottery, and also to the Wedgwood factory. So look at that. Practically cut the whole bush off. So it's got those two full flower heads on it, and then two buds. So what I'll do is to cut away any of the greenery that will lie inside the jug, measure up to see how long I want my flower to be, and then recut at an angle. And that means the flower will take up as much water as it can. Can you see that it's rocking all over the place? It's probably a little bit too top heavy and tall. Plus the fact I think the stem has got a natural arching quality to it. And what I will do is just trim off a few more of the leaves, the ones that have been nibbled and got holes in them, just so it's not too unsightly. I've just spotted the price on my jug. It is £2.50, presumably. I thought I'd washed it up, perhaps not. Or perhaps I was saving the label to showcase it on one of my next thrift haul videos. And if you love going to the charity shop, car boot fairs and things like that, I have got a playlist of all my thrift haul videos, so do take a look. And share your finds with me in my free Facebook group. So red and white. I used to be superstitious about putting red and white flowers together. So I'm going to soften that up a bit with some of the other colours from my garden. So here again, taking off the side shoots, recutting the stem end at a sharp angle, and just trying to blend the red in with the white so it doesn't look like an arrangement of two halves. I've then got my little pink dahlia on a shorter stem. Recut the stem ends, and I might put that one off to the side a little bit, just remembering where the handle on my jug is and which way is going to be front. So you're looking at the front of the arrangement, the handle's off to the side. I don't need to worry about putting too much in the back because no one's going to see that. And then with the cosmos I've got, it's got 3 flower heads on it, but 1 stalk where I've deadheaded. So again, take off the greenery, it will be inside the container. And now I've got a quantity of stems in my vase. I'm hoping that perhaps that central cosmos will stand up a bit. And here is my lone zinnia, a little bit of pink coming in, and then 2 stems of my very insignificant calendula marigold, which picks up on the yellow centre of my cosmos. Little white feather there, remembering my mum. So a little bit of the yellow, a little bit orange on the other side. And then a single bit of my verbena. I'll have to remember to water the rest in the cool of the evening. My gardening goals are to aim to have a vase of fresh flowers grown by me throughout the most of the year. So I think from mid-October I've succeeded. I really must remember to take off that label. £2.50 for my charity shop vase. I'd love to know what you've been growing in your garden and what new plants you would recommend that I include in my planting for next year. Ideally, yes, I want to have cut flowers for most of the year, but is it possible to cut something from your garden every week of the year? So if you've got recommendations for flowers and plants that will see me through from the 1st of January until New Year's Eve, I would love to hear your recommendations. That's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time.